Hey VC, it's Jonathan, your cheap and cheerful record collector. Hope everybody's doing well out there, all things considered. With the coronavirus going around, everything is sort of completely insane. Actually, this week we were supposed to be in Madrid, Spain today, but obviously that didn't happen, and we're now home safe and sound in Maine and quarantining ourselves for 14 days. I just assumed I would get the coronavirus because we were in Portugal and in England, and we were on subways and planes and trains. But this is day 8, and everything seems to be fine. I've been taking our temperature twice a day and seem to be happy and healthy. So we're getting food delivered, and we seem to be fine. So while I'm home, I thought I'd make a video. There's a thread going around of showing box sets. Now, I'm not a big box set guy. I don't have any of those expensive, fancy Beatles mono sets or Led Zeppelin or the Stones or whatever. But I have picked up some box sets at Goodwill and other places, so I thought I'd show some of the stuff I have. First off, the first box set I have here is something called The Best of the Blues. This was put out in 1973. It's a 3-record set, and actually we're listening to Memphis Slim right now over there as part of it. This has everything from Jimmy Witherspoon, Lightnin' Hopkins, Ray Charles, John Lee Hooker, Brownie McGee and Sonny Terry, Leadbelly, Memphis Slim, Otis Spann, Jimmy Reed, Big Bill Brunsey. So I picked this up at Goodwill. Really great little set. Some of the songs are electronically recorded to simulate stereo, which sort of sucks, but you got to get what you can get. It's on a label I never heard of, obviously. I never heard of this label, but cool little label called Sine Qua Non, which means, I guess, something essential or must have. And the blues are certainly something that's essential that we all have to have. So this is a nice little box set. And like I said, picked this up at Goodwill not too long ago, 1973. Next one I just picked up a couple weeks ago, actually, right before we left for Europe. This one I used to have back in the day, and I took it to college with me in the 60s and listened to it constantly, and eventually the box fell apart and things got low, whatever. So I saw this at Goodwill, and I couldn't believe it was there. And it's Woody Guthrie, and it's a Library of Congress recordings, 3 hours of songs and conversations by Alan Lomax. Basically, Woody went to Washington, D.C., and Alan Lomax interviewed him. And it's 3 hours, I think it's 3 discs of him talking about growing up in Oklahoma and then singing songs about his period. It came with a booklet, a great drawing by Woody on the back, which I love. So he basically talks about his life and what he did, and then he'll say, and Alan Lomax will say, well, what kind of music were you listening to back then? And he go, oh, I was, and then he'd play a song. And then he said, well, what songs were you writing then? Well, I was writing this then, so he wrote that, so he played that. So great booklet. Here's a great picture of Woody. This is a repress. It's not on the original Electra label, it's on the Butterfly label. But still in really beautiful condition, and really happy to have that as part of my collection. Woody Guthrie, Library of Congress. Next one is one that's not, it has sentimental reasons for me, so I'm showing it. All right, this is a box set called Pop Jazz. This was put out in 1962. When I was 13 years old, 1962. My dad bought this for me. Wanted to get me going into jazz and make me, educate me a little bit. So he bought me this set for my birthday when I was 13, when I was bar mitzvahed. And it's a 5-record set. And one side is all Maynard Ferguson. Never listened to it much. One side is Sarah Vaughan, one whole record. Not so much. One side was Chris Connor and one Joe Williams, Count Basie I listen to now and then. But the one side, that the first time I heard it, I said, this is something. was the side with Charlie Parker and Miles Davis. Also had Dizzy Gillespie, Bud Powell, and Art Tatum. And that was the one side of this album which I played constantly. When Dizzy Gillespie did Swing Low, Sweet Cadillac, I thought that was the greatest song I ever heard in my life. I thought it was so funny, so great. He also did School Days, Charlie Parker with Miles Davis does Crazyology and Bird Feathers, Stan Getz with Horace Silver, Errol Garner. That was the one side of this set that I listened to all the time. Ignored everything else basically. And again, going the way I never had it. I had it for years, and then when I sold my collection years ago, it sort of went away. And I was so happy to be able to find a complete set. There's the label, World's Greatest Music Series Jazz from 1962. So I'm real happy to add that back to my collection. And again, pretty much that's the only side I listen to, is the side with Charlie Parker and Miles Davis, Horace Silver, Dizzy Gillespie. So that's sort of a cool box set to be able to add back into my collection. Another one I picked up was another Smithsonian collection, and this is Piano Jazz. This is it's a six sides then, yeah. 6 record collection of piano jazz on Smithsonian label, the white label. It doesn't say promo anywhere, so I don't think it's a promo. I think this is how they actually came out. 1989. And this starts early on. It starts off with Jelly Roll Morton, James P. Johnson, Willie the Lion Smith, and Fats Waller, and goes all the way through Art Tatum, Nat King Cole, Oscar Peterson, Thelonious Monk, Tommy Flanagan, Bill Evans, and ends up with the last side is Chick Corea, Keith Jarrett, and Herbie Hancock. So it really covers the whole range of jazz piano. It's great. A great set. Like I said, 6 records, all in super clean condition. Another amazing Goodwill find. Really happy to have that. Jazz piano. Smithsonian collection. Another one I picked up is a Riverside Collection, which is history of classic jazz on Riverside. This I think is from the 80s, but I'm not sure. 5 12-inch records. 12-inch records, as opposed to what? 11-inch records? I guess the original booklet it came with, which is really cool. It's really great. Talks about every single cut on every side. Complete history of that, which is cool. Even came with a cardboard insert. And these are all on the traditional Riverside label, which we all know, beautiful blue Riverside label. And this is pretty much early jazz. It says the history of classic jazz, but it really is pretty much early jazz. Where's the list of music? I had it here earlier. It's not listed. All right. It starts off with the background New Orleans jazz. Where's the thing? Oh, here we go. Starts off with the Royal Drums of Abatusi, African tribal music. And then one album, Volume 2 is Ragtime, Scott Joplin, Jelly Roll Morton. Volume 3 is the blues, Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, Blind Lemon Jefferson. 4th record is New Orleans Style, King Oliver, Jelly Roll Morton, New Orleans Rhythm Kings. Number 5 is Boogie Woogie, Jimmy Yancey, Meadlux Lewis, Pete Johnson. Side 6 is South Side of Chicago. Volume 7 is Chicago Style, and Volume 8 is Harlem. Volume 9 is New York Style, and 10 is New Orleans Revival. So it's all really early stuff, but some great stuff in here. Especially to find it at Goodwill. Really happy to have that. Riverside, history of classic jazz. Now, a little rock and roll for you kids out there. This is a box set, The Last Days of the Fillmore East. Fillmore East in New York City, obviously. This was the last days. They did a recording of the very last concerts they had at the Fillmore East. This one came with the original booklet, which shows all the pictures, talks all about all the acts that played. This actually has a whole listing here of every act that played at Fillmore. They also have, which is cool, some of the original posters. Which I love. This one also, if I find it, came with the original 45 of Bill Graham. Words with Bill Graham, the man who started the Fillmore East and the Fillmore West. Also comes with the original poster, which I will open up here. I don't know if you can see the whole thing, but pretty cool. Original poster. And it's a 3-record set. And let's see. I should have got my act together before I started. So side 1 is Lamb, Elvin Bishop, and Malo. Malo was Santana's cousin, I think, or nephew. Side 2 is Sons of Champlin, It's a Beautiful Day in Quicksilver. Side 3 is Tower of Power and Boz Scaggs and Cold Blood. Side 4 was Stone Ground, New Riders of Purple Sage and the Grateful Dead. Side 5 is Hot Tuna and Santana. And side 6 was Taj Mahal, Elvin Bishop, Boz Scaggs and Friends, and the Final Jam. So, a great box set. This is, I think, 1973, the last show was. But I could be wrong. I haven't looked it up. I haven't looked that closely in this. And anyway, the Fillmore East, I went there a number of times, saw a number of acts. Saw the Grateful Dead there, saw the Airplane, H.P. Lovecraft. Went to see Jeff Beck there. And he had this new singer I never heard of, Rod Stewart, dancing around the stage. Saw Blood, Sweat, and Tears there and was totally disappointed that Al Cooper was no longer with the band, and they had this singer who I couldn't stand, syrupy voice of David Clayton Thomas. So a bunch of stuff at the Fillmore East. Being a New York kid, that's where you went. There's the Dead at the Fillmore East. So this is Fillmore, The Last Days. Nice box set. And the last two I have, this one I got, I answered an ad in Craigslist about a year ago, last summer. And a woman said she had a couple thousand albums in her attic and said, it's really hot up there. It's a hot day. You better bring a bottle of water with you. So I drove up to her house, which was about 45 minutes north of here. And it was an old house, and there were kids running around downstairs screaming and kids in diapers, and the house is a complete mess. And I go upstairs. There's one of these old houses where the stairs is more like a ladder. It's like straight up. And I get up there, and there are literally thousands of albums all over the place. I found out later that I was the third person to have been there. So by the time I got there, things had been picked through pretty well. But for some reason, nobody saw this. And I don't know why, but I was glad to be able to want to see it and grab it. And it's Eddie Cochran. This is the 20th anniversary album. Beautiful box set. Looks like it's never been played. Virtually brand new. Eddie Cochran, obviously a rockabilly star, died in a car accident in England in 63 or 64, I think. So this is a great box set. And each one is different. There's the picture on the back. And this one has 20 Flight Rock on it, Pretty Girl, 3 Steps to Heaven, Skinny Jim, which is great, Eddie's Blues, Peg Leg Slacks, Long Tall Sally. Second one, it's another great picture of Eddie, and has the original version of Summertime Blues way before The Who did it. Am I Blue, Little Lou, Teenage Heaven, Come On Everybody, I'm Ready. Great. And record 3. Oh, it's more than 3, I'm sorry. There's record 3. Strolling Guitar, which is great. Milk Cow Blues, which you probably know Elvis's version of that. Little Angel, Nervous Breakdown, great stuff. And finally, number 4. Some other stuff by him. This is all stuff you probably wouldn't know. But anyway, a great rockabilly set. So happy to have it. Couldn't believe that after 2 other people had been to this garage or attic, looking for records. Nobody saw this. So I was so glad to grab that up. And finally, last but not least, I think I've shown this one before. A friend of mine who doesn't collect records but had this gifted it to me. So just said, here, I don't listen to it. You might as well have it. And it's a Nick Drake box set. This is English pressing. Fruit Tree, the complete recorded works. Comes with the original booklet with all the lyrics. And record 1. Record 2. And of course, finally, record 3. This is complete recorded works of Nick Drake, and a great present from a really generous friend of mine. So there you go. That's I have other box sets, but these are the ones I thought were more interesting than some of the other ones I have. And what else can I tell you? Everybody stay safe out there. Stay 6 feet apart from everybody you see, and wash your damn hands. Until next time, peace.